What's up, everybody? Zach Macmillan back with you again for another episode of Let's Talk Mortgage. Been going for a little bit. You probably can't tell no difference because, it's time lapse, thank God for technology. But we are back again, ready to talk to you about refinancing. Just a snitch, little bit talking about refinancing and maybe the fact that you won't be able to refinance. Don't look at me like that. I'm just a messenger. Here to give you some information about mortgages. So stick around. Here we go. Zach, what the heck are you talking about? What do you mean I can't refinance my home? When I bought it, they told me, hey, the rate's a little bit high right now, but don't worry about it. You could just refinance. When the rates come back down, you'll be fine. No big deal. So, to be specific, I'm specifically talking about a rate and term refinance, not pulling equity out, not a cash out refinance. We are talking specifically about a rate and term refinance. And essentially what that means for a rate and term refinance is you're keeping your home. You're not touching any equity. All you're doing is taking that principal loan amounts, your balance that you have on your home with your mortgage company, and refinancing that to a different rate in a different term. Sometimes the same term you may have had before, if it was a 30-year, going back into another 30-year, or a 15-year, going back into another 15-year, but you are refinancing the rate to get a lower rate. So I'll specifically talk about a rate and term refinance. And so what I mean by the fact that you may not be able to refinance your home is two aspects I want to outline specifically in regards to refinancing that home. So when you first purchase your home, you may have realized that you had to put a down payment on that home. And the reason why you put the down payment on that home is we can only finance up to a certain loan to value for the home that you currently own right now. So that may be 97%, that may be 95%, 96.5% if you're talking about FHA, 100% if you're talking about VA. So those are your loan to value percentages of what we can lend up against. And so when you do a rate and term refinance, those loan to value ratios, percentages, those don't change just because you already own a home and aren't putting a down payment down and you're refinancing. Those programs still have the same guidelines when it comes to loan to value amounts. So when I say that you may not be able to refinance, we're talking specifically about the fact that your loan to value may be skewed in a certain sense. And let me outline that for you. We are going to use simple numbers. Y'all know I like simple math, something easy to follow, easy for me to calculate. Because I don't have my calculator right here in front of me. But so let's say you purchased a $100,000 home. Now that $100,000 home that you currently have, let's say you use a program where use a first time home buyer program where you were able to put down 3% of that $100,000 home, which was $3,000. Therefore, you finance $97,000, get you at that 97% loan to value. Now, when you get ready to refinance that home, because maybe the rate was a little bit higher than what you preferred, the rates have now lowered, you want to get a lower mortgage payment, excellent, perfect. Now, the program that you want to use to refinance that loan may have a different loan to value because of the fact that your credit score may have changed, something may have changed with your credit profile, your job history may have changed, and now we have to use a certain program or the fact that that 97% loan to value loan program is specifically for first time home buyers in a purchase program and doesn't qualify for refinancing. So now we have to use a program that only lets you refinance up to 96.5% like an FHA or a 95% loan to value like a Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. So sticking with that $100,000 home that you have, you financed $97,000. Well, let's say you're refinancing after a year after you purchase. And I'm not sure if you all are aware of this. So this is a quick little tip. You can request your amortization schedule from your loan officer when you're purchasing. And what your amortization schedule does is it shows you each payment what's going towards the principal and what's going towards the interest. And so you can see after a certain amount of payments how much your principal will dwindle at a certain period. So let's say after the first year, if you ever seen an amortization schedule, most of your payments are going more towards the interest than they are towards the principal. So you may not have paid that balance down fully or a good amount to be in a position to be able to refinance. And what I mean by that is, let's say you have that $97,000 loan with the mortgage company. Y'all stick with me now. $97,000 loan with the mortgage company. You make payments on it for a year, and now your balance is rather at $97,000. Your balance is at $95,000. So you paid $2,000 off of it. Now, if you remember, like I mentioned before about the loan to values, we're using the program where you can only finance up to 95% of your loan to value. So your home was worth $100,000. You paid your balance down. Now you owe $95,000 on a home. And so boom, you're thinking, okay, well, good. $95,000. I can refinance this thing, be good to go. Well, when you are refinancing your home, you still have to factor in your closing costs. Yes, I'm talking about those same closing costs that you had to do when you purchased a home. Now, some are a little bit different. Like, for instance, you don't need to do an inspection again. You don't need to do a survey again. There's certain things you don't have to do again because of the fact that you're not purchasing a home. You're basically just refinancing. So they are a little bit more inexpensive on the refinance side. However, there are still closing costs. And because you're refinancing your home, you're not purchasing again. You aren't thinking about the concept that you are going to want to pay money to have that, to pay those closing costs out of pocket. You just want to refinance and pay nothing out of pocket. So therefore, we can roll those closing costs into the loan. But what happens is those closing costs that cost $3,500, $4,000, $5,000, they're not put on top of that $95,000 balance that you had. And therefore, now you're back at $100,000. So guess what? We can't refinance that loan because there's a $5,000 difference between what you owe and what the home's worth, and we can't go up to 100% of that loan to value. So now we can't refinance that loan. So this is just a small example of why you may not be able to refinance the home. Nothing to be upset about. Maybe you need to pay your balance down some. Maybe the home, you can wait just a little bit longer and allow the home to gain a little bit more equity. So that way you have a bit more value in the home to be able to refinance those closing costs on top of the loan, so you aren't having to come out of pocket any money. But that's just one of the reasons why you may not be able to refinance that home currently the way you thought you may have been able to. Okay. So the other reason why you may not be able to refinance that home the way you thought you are currently is just like when you purchase a home, when we're looking at loan to values, we are also going to be looking at your debt to income ratios when you get ready to refinance the home also. Because think about it. Once again, we are giving you another loan on the home. So therefore, we have to make sure you qualify for the home in your debt to income ratio. So let's say you purchase that home, boom. I'm talking about fireworks. We were so happy. We went and bought a couch, a new bed. You know, I had to put the TV in there. I got a new house. I got to get 85 inch. I can't do the 65 and 60s. No, I need an 85. So you went and bought the big TV, $4,000. And you went and did all this stuff, put it all on credit. Because, you know, we were clearing up credit, paying the credit cards off, make sure the score got up. So now my credit good. I'm getting great interest rates when I go to refinance, get a new car, I get a new credit card, so on and so forth. So you had all these things to your liability section, to your debt. And now when you get ready to refinance that home, now when we got ready to give you financing for that home, when your debt to income ratios were at 45%, 43%, maybe 50% maximum. Now you're at a 70% debt to income ratio. Now you're at a 65% debt to income ratio. And guess what? We can't finance you. We can't refinance that home with your debt to income ratio is that high. So that's another reason why you may not be able to currently refinance the home, especially if you went out there and collected a bit more debt after you purchase that home. Now your ratio is going to be out of whack, and therefore it's going to hinder you from being able to refinance that home. Okay. Something very simple. What about a job change? So you you know you ain't like that job. You know you did not want to be there. I didn't want to stick around, but I was staying just because I was trying to purchase a home, and y'all were not gonna mess me up with my home purchase. So I'm gonna stick around, but as soon as I do, I'm going out of here. Y'all deuces. So because you now have went to business for yourself, and when we calculated when we did the financing for your home, originally you had your W-2 job that you had been at for 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever, and now you stepped out on faith because you were anxiously waiting for you to purchase a home so you can go ahead and start your business. Now you're self-employed. Well, now we have a whole new bracket of income to calculate off of, in which we have to wait 2 years for you to be self-employed and show tax returns or what your income's going to be before we can use that income for yourself. So now we have this whole skewed income calculation for you, and therefore now we also can't refinance your home currently because your job history changed. You know, we still have to go off those same guidelines that we used before when you purchased the homes. So your job change is another reason why you might not be able to refinance the home the way you thought you could have currently, okay? So if you're following the theme, the trend, a lot of the things that we have to go through to help you purchase a home are the same exact things we have to go through to help you refinance your home as well. So we're still looking at your loan to value. We're still looking at your debt to income. We're still looking at your job history. We're still looking at all these things when it comes to refinancing your home. So these are things you're going to want to keep in mind even after you become a homeowner. It's not just like, oh, well, I'm free and clear. I can do whatever I want. What if you're going to want to refinance that thing? Keep in mind that these are things that we're going to be looking at when it's time to refinance the home like you want to. So there we have it, ladies and gentlemen. Refinancing, why you might not be able to do it. Like I said, don't come at me. I'm just the messenger, here to give you as much mortgage information as possible. And hopefully this information caught you prior to put yourself in a situation where you won't be able to refinance. So that's what this page is for, to help you understand more about mortgages, whether it's refinancing, whether it's purchasing, things that's going to put you in a better spot to be financially sound when you own a home, okay? So thank you once again for watching this episode of Let's Talk Mortgage. I look forward to see you again next time. I'm Zach McMillan. Y'all have a good one.